Hello, people. Welcome to another Booze Dancing TV production. As you can see, I'm flying solo tonight. The West Coast office and the other half of the East Coast office were a little busy. So I'm going one-on-one with Kevin Graham, head distiller at Maverick Whiskey in San Antonio, Texas. He's going to tell us a little bit about what they do and, how long he's been there and, their offerings and all that good stuff. So I'm going to run a quick intro and I'm going to bring Kevin in. All right, stay tuned. We'll be right back in 30 seconds. Good evening, Kevin.
Good evening.
How are you? Welcome aboard.
Staying alive.
That's all. That's it. That's all we can do. So, you're in the distillery?
I am sitting in front of Big Mama over here with the horns.
Okay.
That's our still.
Okay, and you are in San Antonio, Texas, right? You are I think I looked it up. You are a tenth of a mile from the Alamo.
Yeah, we're right downtown. We're a block away.
Oh, okay.
This building is actually on the property of the original Sam Maverick homestead from back during the Alamo.
Okay.
So it's kind of got family history in its own.
And the owner, what's the owner's name of the distillery?
Kenneth Maverick.
And he's, what is the great grandson?
The
great?
Three, yeah. Great grandson of Samuel Maverick. Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of history here.
Yeah. I was looking on the site. There's quite a bit. Now, how long have you guys been open?
About 4 years now.
Okay. And you're primarily making bourbon, rye. I looked on your site. There's quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah, we actually, our flagship obviously is bourbon. We make a really nice rye now. And we just released our barrel proof bourbon to the public. And we make a nice gin. We actually make several whiskeys. We make a wheat, a rye, a triticale, and all those are not all of those are on the market right now. They're sold here at the distillery, but they're not in distribution per se.
Okay. Are you outside of Texas? Is your stuff available outside of Texas or just strictly?
Not at this point. Right now, it's all strictly in Texas.
Okay. Right now, have you been there from the start?
No, I came in after they'd been open for a couple of years. They brought me in to kind of settle things down a little bit here. And I came from after being in my old distillery for about 9 years. And we have a granddaughter now in Dallas. So
yeah,
I came from North Carolina to here.
Oh, okay. Were you at what was the distillery you were at before?
Mother Earth.
Oh, I'm not aware of them. Are they pretty? Where are they in North?
They're just in North Carolina. Yeah.
Okay. Are they just a local kind of thing, or they don't get distribution, or?
Well, they distribute throughout the whole state, but they basically have two products: a whiskey and a gin.
Okay.
I started that one from the ground up out there, and it's good. It's great. Won a lot of awards with it. I got them on my arm here.
Okay. Well, since we're talking, by the way, since we're talking whiskey, are you drinking anything or no?
Not right now. I'm having water.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to pour myself something. I got a couple of ryes here. I think I'm going to go with a tin cup, which is what we were talking about before we went on the air.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
I've got my stack of tin cups at home too.
Okay. Now, you had said before you were in brewing before. You
Yeah,
started as a brewer?
I started on the brewing side with Mother Earth. They were really a brewery
Uh-huh.
to begin with, and they're mass production, can, bottle, the whole works. And then when things started to loosen up, especially in North Carolina with the distilling, um, we went into that, and they asked me to develop it and get it started, and yeah, went from there.
Okay. Do you have a preference either side of it, working whiskey or working beer, or?
I'd rather do the whiskey.
Yeah.
I like distilling a lot better than brewing.
Yeah. Any reason? It's just a different process, or you just
It's a
like the finished
totally,
product a little better?
I've been, well, there's that, but I've been a science geek basically all my life. So
Okay.
this is more of chemistry and science rather than more biology, I would think, in making beer.
Hmm.
But I like the technical aspect of it.
Okay. How big of a facility is where you are right now at Maverick? I mean, what's your like, how many, I don't know, what's your capacity there?
We're putting out close to 30 barrels a month in
Mhm.
whiskey.
Okay.
So I mean, we're fledgling, but we've been putting a lot of booze away.
Okay. And you store it in the same building or you store it off site?
Yes, same
Okay.
building. We have a second facility where we can. That's where we have to kind of store all our dry goods as well.
Uh-huh.
Having a distillery in a old bank building has its drawbacks in that there's not a lot of room,
Hmm.
especially with restaurants upstairs. So we basically have to bring our grains into another facility, truck them down the alleyway here, and crane lift them into the building because we have no dock.
Okay.
So it's kind of that's probably the biggest pain to having it in a bank. But so we're kind of cramped quarters.
Yeah. Well,
We got to watch.
is it just the structure of the building? Because I mean, you can't really move things around, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of the way it's set up in here and the way we had to put it together to save the integrity of the bank as well,
Right.
as far as being historic. Um, so we had to get a little creative because we wanted to produce a good amount. We have 4,000-gallon fermenters and a 500-gallon still, so
Hmm.
they're constantly full and being stripped out and refilled all on the same day. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at your site, and I mean, there's you have a bit going on there. You've got the distillery, you've got the brewery, and then you have the restaurant on the second floor.
Right.
So, and I guess given where you are, I mean, do you get a lot of like tourist traffic or?
Yeah, especially during the tourist time,
Hmm.
holidays during the summer, we get a lot of folks in here
Yeah.
from all over.
Okay. Okay. So you had said, what's your current release that just came out, or you're
The
ready to
barrel,
release?
yeah, the barrel strength bourbon is the latest release
Okay.
for bottle. Yeah.
And what's the proof on that one?
114.
Oh, so not you're not joking. You're not messing around with that one.
No,
Okay. So it's uncut. It's completely uncut.
no. In harvesting barrels, you're going to get variance in what you're going to receive.
Uh huh.
So we picked a number that we knew that we could hit, and so we balance it to where we can do 114 no matter what.
Okay. Now is this out already, or it's coming
Yes,
out?
it just came out on the market probably the first of last month is
Hmm.
when it hit the distribution.
Okay.
Um, Bourbon is already out there. We also added rye, released about the same time as the barrel proof,
Mhm.
and our gin is out on the market as well.
Okay. What's your? I mean, I don't know if you can say or not, but what's the mash bill on your bourbon? Is it a high
It's
corn or?
Yeah, it's a high corn. It's about 71%.
Okay.
So it's got a real nice sweet um, up front, and it goes well with your classic whiskey cocktails. So it's a little sweeter. I like it.
Okay. What's the balance? Is rye and then you using barley or
Barley, yeah.
okay?
We're producing one that originally was, you probably saw it on a website. It was originally called Alamo Whiskey, which we cannot call it Alamo Whiskey anymore. So we're still making it. It's the actual Samuel Maverick mash bill from back in the 1800s.
So they distilled on that site, on the same site back in the 1800s?
Relatively close to the same site.
Okay, but not for, I mean, for private, not for sale or anything like that.
Just for private. He used to use whiskey, and he was more into property and land and things like that. So a lot of his deals were sealed with a bottle or two of whiskey that he would make. So, but that's going to be the private reserve. And that'll come out sometime this spring, probably. And it's delicious. It's a lower corn mash bill.
But this is the formerly Alamo whiskey. That's
right.
You're rebranding it.
Right. We're rebranding, and it's a good balance of corn, rye, and wheat. So it's really got some nice flavors to it.
Okay. How and it says here, I think it's aged what, 2 years on average, or
at least 2 years.
Okay. Now, do you have the same problem as everyone else in Texas, where it ages really rapidly because of the heat?
Yeah.
Not a problem, but I mean, it's a good.
Yeah. The major portion right now is in our basement.
Okay.
So we have a full basement underneath there. It used to be the bank vault and all this other area. So it's kind of regulated. We bring in air from the outside, so there's a good flow, good movement. So you don't have as much of that as you would in open air rick houses. So yeah, as long as you keep some good air moving around, you're going to do all right.
Okay. Yeah, you would said it's the vault downstairs?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good place to store barrels.
Yeah.
That's good.
We take people down on a private tour and show them where everything is. But yeah, full basement.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds good. What was I going to say? Now, there were a couple other things I saw on your site you had, and I don't know if you still make, I don't know how often you update the site. There was one that I was kind of curious about. The Agave Blanco. Is that essentially like a Texas tequila kind of thing?
That's exactly what it is.
Is the agave grown in Texas or?
No, it's grown in Mexico.
Oh, okay.
And we buy the agave nectar from an organic grower in Jalisco, I think.
Right.
And then we bring it in and make the Agave Blanco.
Oh, okay. So you're not actually roasting or doing anything with the piñas or anything. Okay, you're just bringing the nectar. Okay.
We're bringing it in, but then we'll take it and age it in some of our harvested barrels. So we have a Reposado. We actually have some that's going into Añejo. So yeah, it's really good.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess you can't call it tequila because it's not made in tequila.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, all right. Yeah, we were curious about that because I was talking with one of the guys about it, and we were just kind of running through just to try to figure out what it was. So, but it's not like a mezcal, so it's not going to be smoky.
No, it's much smoother. It's one of those that you can drink on the rocks.
Okay. Now, I think before we went on air, you said you're not really a cocktail person.
Nope.
So pretty much everything you make, would you just kind of go straight?
Yeah.
Or just drink them, on ice or whatever?
On ice, generally, yeah.
Okay. No margaritas then?
Well, I'll drink a margarita.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. What was I going to say? So how's it been in terms of like with, we've talked to a few people lately, and a lot of them have having, supply chain, that ugly word that everyone talks about. And a lot of folks have been having problems with like bottles and labels and a lot of things you wouldn't really think of as being an issue. Have you
Right.
guys been having the same kind of problems?
Absolutely. It's you used to be able to get something in 4 to 6 weeks.
Hmm.
You're somewhere sometimes 4 to 6 months,
Yeah.
and the prices have gone through the roof. Uh,
Right.
we were lucky enough; all our grains come from Texas. Everything we use comes from Texas. So we were lucky enough to lock in some good prices on local grains for at
Mm.
least another 6 months. But boxes and enzymes and cleaning products to labels, everything takes forever.
Yeah.
And they blame, oh, it's COVID and or it's trucking or it's something.
Yeah.
Freight prices have gone through the roof.
Yeah. That's the story we've been getting from a lot of people. I didn't realize that there was very, very little glass produced in the United States.
Yeah,
Where do you guys? I mean, I've seen your bottles are. I mean, they look like they're custom designed
yeah, they are.
for.
They come out of Mexico,
Okay.
but China is the big supplier for bottles.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some U.S. makers, but not very many, especially when
Hmm.
it comes to custom bottles.
Right. Right. Someone had said we talked to a local distillery. They were saying there's a company I think in Georgia that opened up recently where
Mhm.
they were getting bottles, and they were able to get the first batch of bottles, but then Diageo came in and pretty much wiped them out
Right.
and pretty much took all their inventory. So they're back in the
And
same boat.
even with our cooperage, they're having problem getting people, just like we are here.
Hmm.
Getting people to work in the facilities.
Yeah.
So that puts them behind. So we're lucky enough right now. We've got a good thing going, and we don't order a lot at one time, which helps. We're on a monthly rollout of barrel shipments. So
Okay. Where you're getting your stuff from Kentucky, or is it
no,
Texas?
it comes out of Minnesota.
Oh, okay. Okay. And I guess they do the charring and everything, or
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
they're toasted and charred up there, and then shipped down to us. And by having a delivery every month, you're kind of you don't have to worry about how long they've been sitting around. So they're
Hmm.
going to make them fresh, and they're going to come to us, and they're good and tight, and we can fill them up.
Okay. All right. Um, Now, in terms of like, what you have like tours, and are you guys a 7 day operation, or are there a
No,
couple days you're closed?
yeah, the tours are usually just Wednesday, Thursday, actually Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Um, the restaurant is closed Monday, Tuesday. Um, tasting room is open on Wednesday, and
Hmm.
then the restaurant is only on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And there again, it goes back to supply chain in that we're having trouble getting people.
Yeah,
There's just not enough people.
just
We'd
people, even in terms of
expand, we'd expand the hours upstairs, but we just don't have it staffed.
oh, well, that's a problem everywhere, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, well,
everybody's in the same boat. So
yeah. Now, how many are there other distilleries? There's Alamo Distilling also in San
right.
Antonio. Is it a pretty active big community, or in terms of distillers?
No, it's still hard to get personnel.
Hmm.
I've got a great staff now, but they've gone through a number of people, and what we're having to do is find somebody that's got a passion and just train them up. We're
Hmm.
lucky to get my lead distiller here. I trained him. He came from the brewing industry in London.
Okay.
So he was a head brewer over there. And, so he took to it and, very knowledgeable. And
Hmm.
then another kid had experience in the brewing world here in San Antonio. And then another kid just is a hard worker. So,
Yeah.
we've got a good staff here now. I'm really proud of them.
Right.
I'm just the pretty face. They do all the work.
Now, do you come up with the recipes yourself, or do you
Yeah.
work with the
It's
owner?
sometimes it's a trial and error. Obviously the reserve is pretty specific. But the nice thing about craft is gins, for instance, are the IPA of the craft spirits, in
Hmm.
my opinion, because there's a million of them out there, but every one of them is going to be different.
Right.
And that's kind of the fun part, is creating a new gin. Whiskeys, you can kind of get an idea what it's going to be like, but you really won't know until it's set for 2 years.
Right.
What you're going to end up with. You can start off with small barrels, quick turnaround to get a basis and know what you're working with. But the actual product, you'll be surprised in 2 years. Obviously, we're tasting it all the time, but new products are make you nervous.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure because you got to wait, and there's the timing. I'm reading actually about the gin. The gin sounds like it could be really, really interesting. I mean, I guess you have to put enough gin so that someone smells it and says it's a gin, but then after that, you pretty much do whatever you want.
Yeah, you're on your own after that. It has to have
Juniper.
juniper in it, and but after that, it can be anything. And almost all of the ingredients, well, everything but the juniper come from Texas.
Mhm.
So it's pretty unique.
How do you change up the recipe quite a bit, or you pretty much have one now that you have locked in and or dialed in, and you're just
No,
going to kind of stick with that?
we've got a little 25-gallon still over here that's kind of like prototype still.
Uh huh.
And we ran several batches through until you find the one that really hits the mark and what we're looking for. You have benchmarks on your initial taste and finish and those kind of things. We know what we kind of want it to be. It takes 3 or 4 batches till you dial it in.
Okay, but I guess the good thing is the turnaround on that's pretty quick, so you're not waiting forever.
Yeah, it's real quick.
Because once it's distilled, it's ready to go, pretty much.
Pretty much knock it down and put it in a bottle.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to let it kind of what do they call it? Rest a little bit when you.
Yeah, well, you do, it's a maceration process to begin with anyway. So it'll rest for 24 to 48 hours and then away we go.
Okay. All right. Is there like a particular gin that let's say you'd be trying to be like, or you just want to kind of make it your own?
No, I never want to be like somebody.
Uh-huh.
I want mine to be different.
Okay. I mean, I guess you find what you like and you say, all right, well, let me tweak it so that it's me. It's, you make it your own personal thing.
Yeah, I think you're starting with a gin,
Right.
A juniper berry liqueur or liquor, and from there you want it to be a representation of either your area that you live in or your likes and dislikes or take into consideration, and make it unique rather than the same old, same old.
Yeah. Well, we talked before, and I said, we primarily started with like beer and whiskey, and we've just branched out to a whole lot of other things because,
Right.
everything's exploded. I mean, there's just
Right.
there's so much gin, there's so much rum, there's so many different spirits coming out, which, is great, especially as like, for I guess whiskey prices have gone up and all right, that gets to be too expensive for somebody. Move on to something else. There's a lot of really good stuff to try.
Sure. Right.
And
It's surprising. A friend of mine went to visit his son in college, and he was amazed at how many college kids are now into craft spirits, where it used to be craft beer and everybody had to have a craft beer. Now they're all going to craft spirits, and it's everything's changing.
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to evolve. It's going to, just keep going.
Yeah,
so, and it's good. It's good fun. I mean, and it's a pretty good community. It seems like everyone seems to, work with each other and, all the different distilleries and all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, the small guys aren't fighting each other. We're just trying to get our bite in the market that the big guys have.
Right.
It's always going to be that way. Even the beer side still fights that. But craft distilling, it's the new age.
That's fun. It's a lot of fun. Where do you? I mean, are you guys going to primarily stick with, I guess, what you have now, or are there new products in development? I mean, you're always kind of working on something new.
We're always working on something new.
Okay, but primarily it's going to be liquors as opposed to liqueurs or any other kind of.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from liqueurs at this point.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there's other whiskeys, there's other processes, there's other barreling. There's a lot of things we can do just within the products themselves. But I have some on the horizons.
Mm-hmm. Are you more of a? I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I can't tell you.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. You keep it. You string us along. Now, you put the line out, and we'll come back for more.
Yeah.
So, and hopefully, we'll get to try some of your stuff. I know that there was an issue. We were supposed to do a Zoom with you, and I guess maybe the owner with what was his name? Last name is Maverick. What's his first name?
Kenneth.
Yeah. So I thought we were going to do a live stream, but that didn't work out. So hopefully in the future we'll get to try.
Yeah, I think they're rescheduling it sometime in January, is my understanding.
Okay.
We got all the other bugs worked out, so we're good to go.
Now, do you have a personal preference in terms of, more bourbon, rye, or which way do you kind of lean?
I really like rye. I really like the reserve that we make. The bourbon's great. It's a little sweet for me, but the mixologists love it. My wife loves it, so
you got to keep making it, right?
Right.
I think she's watching, right? You said she might be watching.
Yes, she is.
Say hello.
Hi.
I'm actually going to pour myself. I think I'm going to try a little Milliman Green. I'll try a little bit of their rye. Are you drinking anything at all or no?
Not yet. All the drinks are upstairs, so.
Oh, okay. Well, this is, it's a drinking show. We're supposed to be drinking.
Well, I wasn't sure, so I didn't pour one.
Oh, well, that's okay. That's all right. I'll drink for you.
All right.
But what was I going to ask you? I was going to say something else and I forgot. So, okay, we talked about not distribution, I'm sorry. The ugly word that is the supply chain,
Right.
which seems to be never ending for everybody. Now, do you guys sell on site or is it primarily?
We sell a lot more on site than is actually in distribution.
Okay.
So like I was mentioning, the wheats, the triticale, we have a rum. I think we're moving away from the rum because there's a million of them out there. And it just takes up tank space for whiskey. But yeah, we even have a vodka. We have a lot of things that we can sell on site that are all label approved and all that, but we're not going to put it in distribution at this point.
Okay. But I mean, the big sellers are the whiskeys?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so with the restaurant, they're using all your spirits, I guess, in the restaurant,
Absolutely.
Pretty much? Yep. I mean, unless you have to get a mixer or something like that, or a vermouth or whatever.
Yeah, those maybe a vermouth, but our mixologist makes his own concoctions.
Yeah.
To go into his drinks, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now I was looking here. You also have a brewery on site.
Yeah.
And so, is the brewery just for the facility alone?
It is.
Okay. So there's no distribution.
We have a 3-barrel system, and 6 or 8 taps at the tap room and the tasting room up there, for the restaurant basically. And we just, like today, we had a happy hour that come in for beers and flights, whatever. And so we brew about once a month, just to keep it rolling. 3 barrels lasts us, pretty good without it going bad. So, and we try and do little seasonal things. We had a Marzen up there this fall, and now a real nice Sassy Blonde, as well as IPAs and all the regular stuff.
Okay.
We're about to build a stout coming up in about a week. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I got 2 guys that are really good at it.
Okay, so you're not I guess you oversee the brewery, but you're not actually the.
Yeah, I'm not all hands-on with it, but I created the recipes.
Okay.
And then we went from there.
Okay, fun. Now, do you have a preference in terms of beers?
I'm an IPA guy.
Okay. Now, do you like them more hoppy, more on the more citrusy, or I should say resiny versus citrusy?
Yeah, A little citrusy. I don't like them overly bitter.
Okay.
Like the old English style IPAs aren't my favorites, but
Mhm.
I'll drink just about all of them.
Okay. A little brighter, more
Yeah.
juicy or fruity IPA. Okay.
Yeah, I like the hazy IPAs out of the Northeast.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, heady topper type of thing.
Okay. Yeah. There's no shortage of New England style IPAs up here.
Yeah, I
So,
bet not.
and we're big fans of those too. So, we like to drink. We just like our drinks.
Yeah.
So, so what are the other? I mean, are you looking to expand outside of Texas at this point in terms of distribution, or is it just going to stay? Or that you don't have enough capacity right now to go beyond that?
Yeah, I don't think harvest wise it's realistic to go too much out of the state. We haven't even really touched the surface of Texas. I mean, Texas is huge.
Yeah.
So once we get this market going real well, then we'll look at other markets. But Texas is our main focus at this point. And coming out of COVID, which we're still coming out of COVID,
Hmm.
uh, everything gets set back a year to 2
Right.
years.
Okay.
So we're just now starting to get running again. It was going great, and then COVID hit, and everything just kind of comes to a stop a little bit. So
Right.
now it's really starting to move again, and we're getting good traction. So we'll see what this next year brings, and I have hopes that it's going to go really well, and then
Hmm.
we'll start looking at what we can do.
Okay. I mean, are you guys? Well, is San Antonio pretty heavy on tourism, or it just depends on the time of year?
Just time of year, really. You've got the river walk that brings people here year
Right.
round, and it's got a lot of stuff to do within San Antonio. So
Hmm.
we have a couple military bases here that help with a lot of people. Several universities, obviously.
Right.
So it's hopping downtown most every weekend,
Hmm.
and with the conventions starting to come back a little bit,
Right.
so we're having small ones at least. Things are still hopping downtown.
Okay. That's good. Yeah. Everything's kind of like I'm in Philadelphia, and it's been really really quiet. And I work like pretty much a block from the convention center, and there's
Yeah,
been like little spurts of people coming around and hitting the markets in Center City, but it's still been quiet.
right.
So I'm still work from home 4 days a week.
Yeah, I was amazed how all of a sudden it's starting to really take off again down here. I mean,
Okay.
it's not like mobs of people, but
Right.
concerts are happening now, so we get a lot of good country
Hmm.
concerts going on. So it
Okay.
brings in a lot of people.
Right.
Then we've got the Spurs here in
Right. I was going
town.
to ask, how far is the stadium from where you are?
Probably 5 to 8 minutes.
Oh, okay. So it's all around there. So folks
Yeah,
come in for a game and you get a little bit of spillover
right.
or however that works. Okay. Yeah, it takes a while. It takes a while to get things going, but eventually things have to get back rolling again.
Yeah, yeah. And people in Texas got a good attitude about it,
Uh-huh.
and everybody's getting vaccinated, and
Okay.
we're still hanging in there.
Okay. Is Texas a control state or is it independent liquor
No,
stores?
it's independent.
Okay. So you're dealing with, either small liquor stores or whatever the big chains are, like a Total Wine or whoever.
Right. We're
Those
dealing
good places.
from little guys to the big guys.
Okay.
We have a good distributor, and
Hmm.
things are really starting to roll. We now have a sales team going out in the field that is making great progress.
Hmm.
So we,
Okay.
we kind of lost some people with COVID, and now we're just trying to get back a little bit and then
Right.
move forward.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's some comfort that you're not alone. Everyone's going through the same thing.
Right,
But at the end of the day, you got bills to pay and people to pay and,
right.
production to get done. So, hopefully we'll come out of this thing sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
So,
Amen.
trying to think with everything else. Do you have any other I don't know, stuff we should be looking out for in the future, other than your cast strength single barrel that's coming out?
Yeah, the reserve is going to come out next year. It's delicious. It's one of my favorites. We're also putting triticale. If you're not familiar,
What is that? You mentioned that before. I don't know what that is.
Triticale is, or triticale, is some of them are pronounced. It's a hybrid grain that was developed years ago. It's a cross between wheat and rye.
Uh-huh.
And it was developed more for the breads and the food industry. And it took off a little bit, but not really great. But our malt yard sent us 2,000 pounds of it by mistake, and we thought it was rye. So
You just went with it?
fermented it, and it took off like crazy because it's real soluble and it really breaks down well.
Uh-huh.
And we said, oh, well, let's put it in barrels, see what we get.
Okay.
And it's delicious. It's got that earthiness of a wheat with just a little bit of spice from the rye.
Okay.
And it's really good drinking. So now, because that was a mistake, we've told our malter that we want to start putting this away on a regular basis. So we have to procure the grains, and they're pardon me, they're a winter crop, cover crop. So we won't be able to even start getting it till in June. But we didn't know if it was going to be any good till it's set for a couple of years. So
okay.
So we're going to be putting that in, and that's going to happen probably in a couple of years. Come out. So that's something in the future.
Okay. All right. In terms of like what a lot of the Scottish distilleries or whatever, there's a lot of, the spent grain goes to whatever feed yards, or you still have the same kind of thing going on there?
Not so much here. We don't have a way to shift it out of the facility that way, and we ferment on grain, and then we distill on grain. So it brings out a lot more of your grain character. So no, we do take this out to a rancher when we do beers.
Okay.
Because obviously we're separating it.
Right.
But when we ferment on grain, you have to go through a whole separation kind of thing, and we just don't have the room at this facility.
Okay. Okay. Are you pretty much, locked into this building, or do you think at some point there'll be expansion, or it just depends on how it goes?
There will be.
I guess with time, at some point.
Yeah, with time, there will be an expansion, and this will always be here, and we may shift this facility to the clear products, and eventually the dream is to have another spot to do all the whiskeys in, to where we can put multiple rack houses out there, that kind of thing. But yeah, we have
slow
to
and steady though.
Yeah, you have to dream and start planning now.
Right. Yeah, because this stuff doesn't happen overnight.
No, you can't go to Walmart and buy a still.
No, you can't, and then you got to go through, all the ATF and all that good stuff and all the other things you have to do. So, all right. I don't know. I didn't really have any other questions. I don't know. Did you have anything else that you wanted to kind of tell us about, or?
No, I think we've got pretty much covered.
All right, great.
Bottles, so yeah, I think we're good.
All right. Well, Kevin, thank you for joining us online. Hopefully next time we talk, we'll be trying your whiskey and we can talk a little bit more about it.
Awesome.
I look forward to that. So let me just hang on for 1 second. Let me just put you back in the green room, and I'll just kind of take us out. All right.
Okay.
I'll be right back. All right, folks. Well, thank you for joining us. It was great to talk to Kevin. Hopefully we'll get to try some of their whiskey and, give you our feedback to let you know how it is. He sounds pretty convincing to me, so I'm sure it's quite delicious. So let me roll the credits, and we will see you soon on the next episode. Cheers, folks, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.